All right, so your turtles,
Yes.
are they endangered?
No, they are not.
If they were,
Yes.
and you had the last two,
Yes. Would it be right to release them?
yeah.
No, it would not be right to release them. Because probably that means whatever was killing them off is probably still out there. And there's a good chance that if I released them, they'd probably be dead. That's a big thing too. With everyone thinks we should be releasing every animal in every zoo. You know, they don't belong in the zoo. It's horrible for them. We gotta let them go. But the reality is, I could let all 100,000 lions from every zoo in North America loose back in the African plains, but there's nothing to guarantee that they won't all be shot by poachers and trophy hunters, or they won't have enough food to survive, or they won't have enough habitat, or things like that. Now, same thing with gorillas and orangutans and all those big primates that people say shouldn't be in zoos. Well, unfortunately, you release them back into the wild, they're probably gonna die. Not just because they don't know how to survive. You can teach an animal to survive in the wild, especially like a mammal. The big problem is whether or not they have enough food, water, shelter, like the basics, the habitat, or whether or not they're going to be shot at so they can be made into some medical whatever that, you know, the Asian markets want.
So should we maintain it so that they do have food, shelter?
The most important thing in my mind for conservation is who owns the land. It all comes down to who owns the land and who they're doing land work with. No. Here we could go.
So say your turtles are all dead and they've been dead for 100 years.
Yes.
And you found some DNA.
Yeah. Should I bring them back?
Should you bring them back?
That's an interesting question too, honestly. It depends. Is what killed them gone?
Yes.
Yes. Then yes, you should bring them back.
But they come back and then they kill all of mankind.
Well, that's our fault. Should have seen that coming. That's on us.
Yeah, that's on us.
Yeah, that's on us. Not dinosaurs or turtles.
So I guess the question is, the extinction of an animal, isn't that just nature?
It's not nature. We killed it all. It's artificial extinction.
But aren't we part of nature?
I guess in a way. But then you're overlooking the entire purpose of conservation. The entire purpose of conservation is restoring as much of it as we can to get it to an area or a level where there's so much biodiversity. There's as much biodiversity as possible. That's what you want. That's the key, is biodiversity. Because if we have biodiversity, then we have, not only are all the animals and plants thriving on that, you have things that people need. People need food. People need water, people need medicine, and all those things come from the different plants and animals and microscopic organisms that live in the soil and the water and things like that. Those are really important for people. So, sure, is it important that I save the marbled salamander or the eastern wood frog or whatever? It probably doesn't matter that much. But as you keep losing more and more and more species, then you run into problems where the ecosystem isn't healthy enough that you can't grow crops anymore in the soil, or the water's not clean enough, or some things like that.
So what happens if someone stumbles upon your turtles and then they accidentally eat it, and they find out that it tastes like a Big Mac? It's like the most wonderful.
Then they're doomed. They're doomed to extinction.
Are they really?
Yeah.
What if we start breeding your turtles because they taste like Big Macs?
Well, then it depends on what we're doing. Are we taking them out of the wild without any thought about it?
Yes, we take them out. We put them inside a factory to make more Big Mac turtles, so we can eat it.
Well, it depends if those are endangered or not. If they're not endangered,
they're not endangered.
And
they're turtles.
You know, it's fine. It's like a farm, regular farm. They have turtle farms in like Southeast Asia and stuff, and the conditions are fine, and the animals are being well cared for. Sure, that's fine.
Is that humane?
Are they being treated humanely?
No, they're turtles.
Yeah. Well, if they've got the food, water, shelter, stress-free life, a quick, clean death, then it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. What is wrong is having them suffer, having them live in conditions that aren't good for them, having them being stressed out the entire time, overbreeding them, things like that, killing them slowly. Though that's what's the problem. But having them like you're bringing up like the rhinos. It's okay to have rhinos in rhino farms. They live natural lives. They graze, they browse, they breed just like they would in the wild. And also they're being protected from poachers.
They're getting their horns cut, right?
Yeah, they get their horns cut off. They grow back later. It's like getting a haircut. It's fine, honestly. And then when South Africa gets better, when when every third world and second world country becomes a first world country and they consider conservation to be an important thing, then we can take all our animals that we've been keeping in our zoos and our farms or whatever we've been stashing them away, and we can release them back in the wild, kind of like what we have in the United States, where 100 years ago the wild turkey was extinct in most of the eastern United States. The white-tailed deer wasn't to be found anywhere. Black bear was almost extinct. We killed off the passenger pigeon. But as we became more and more conscious about conservation, we brought all these animals back, because we're, most of the time people that are in first world countries care about nature and conservation. But how can you care about nature and conservation when you can't feed yourself or your family? So it makes sense for a third world country to not care. I hate that the tiger is going extinct, but I don't blame that poor farmer in India whose cows just got eaten by a tiger and that was his only source of income. How can you blame him for something like that? I can judge all I want in my first world country, but I don't have to live with the tigers at the end of the day. So that's why I think zoos are an excellent form of conservation, because we're waiting for the right time and the right situation and everything, and then once everything is ready, we can release them back into the wild. But unfortunately, that's going to be probably a couple hundred years from now, hundreds of years from now. So we got to wait, and while we wait, we're going to maintain a good genetic bank and everything like that. But honestly, it depends on that, It depends on what your goal is in conservation, whether it's biodiversity, which is probably the biggest one, or to conserve one species. Although doing that's kind of narrow-minded in my opinion. You want to save everything as much as you can.
That's good.
Yeah.